absolutely baked today. It looks great because we're in the shadow of the hotel. The camera actually is in bright sunshine, and I'm a bit worried about it getting a bit too hot, but yeah, it's going to be another cooker. Come noon, the sun gets right up at the top there. It's typical, like what do they do in New York? They fry eggs on the sidewalk and stuff like that. It's you could do that exactly here. It was a bit windy last night too, and I think the restaurant across the street, you can see they lost one of their lanterns. The cover blew away. It was a bit broken, and now you can see the light bulb hanging there. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning. Thursday morning, we've had a few days off. Rats cook pizza on the sidewalk, yeah, whatever, I don't know. If you were a rat here, well, you're not running around at noon, you're running around in the evening, so it's cooler, I guess. But at noon, you cannot walk out there, you know. I've been playing out in bare feet, and impossible, absolutely impossible. Okay. All right, this morning I have a list of stuff to talk about. I got a list of stuff to do. I've been sidetracked again. I got an email from Cameron this morning, something I had forgotten about. I think you remember about 2 weeks ago or so, was it? We were doing the stream and the delivery guy came and I lit up and said, it's some great waves and stuff like this, you know. Then I put the package aside. I told Cameron about it to do two things. He had to pay the printer, Yamamoto-san, and then he let the next group of people on the waiting list know we've got some more great waves. And I put the package aside and forgot about it, so whatever. So Cameron wrote me this morning, because, you know, stuff, he doesn't know about this, but he assumed that I would have prepared them, sent them through to Ome, and Ome is standing by waiting for the invoices. Cameron put the list out to the first dozen people. They responded, they paid. Cameron sent the invoices through to Ome. They're waiting for the prints to show up, and I forgot about the package. It's just sitting here. So if anybody of those people are listening right now, I apologize, but the barrier here is sitting right here in front of you. Today, I have to do some embossing then. I've got to emboss the name on these prints, and then I haven't even opened the freaking package. I've got to emboss these things, and then do some chiritori, and then send them through to Ome. And Ome is standing by right now. They're there today and tomorrow. So a little update. Before I start this, the key block, an update on where we are. We'll be carving this about a half an hour from now, but here's an update on where we are. I did paste the face down as you saw. I did start carving the face as you saw. And late last night, I don't want to talk about what time it was, late last night I did finish carving on the face. So what's left on this key block now is to do the cartouche, and then of course the border lines and clear it. And once that's done, there will be 2 or perhaps 3 color blocks. So this print is supposed to be shipped August 1st, and we are going to make it. No help to me, no help to me. Okay, so today's routine is this. Embossing first on a bunch of these. Then, with whatever time is left, we do some carving. Then at the end of the stream, we'll have a show and tell, and we'll look back into that black folder I got, and we'll turn the next couple of random pages and see what should be happening. There's no paper out today. Nobody else is here. We are now in a 4-day national holiday here, and sensible people are hunkering down at home, out of the way. People who don't have any sense are out trying to do holiday things in their cars, driving around. They're insane. I don't know what they're doing. Anybody with any brains is sitting at home with the air conditioner on in front of their TV set. So no paper out today, it's just me. Sugu-san actually is coming tomorrow because she's got some work she wants to finish. And I asked her, you know, holiday. She says, no, me and my husband, we're not going anywhere. So just he's going to chill at home and she's going to come and do some work. So, but there's nobody else around. So let's see, where we go. This one, of course, we talked about before. We showed this one, I think. This is a cut corner because there was a blob of blue pigment. Anyway, let me get myself organized here. 1 second. I'm going to put this on one side. Where are we going to put that? I'll put this down here. That's the in stack. I need my out stack over here. Suga-san is becoming a star. Nay, and that's something else I want to mention, because there's something else I have to talk about today. On my list of things to talk about, people are probably asking already about the package that was going to be delivered the other day. The package was delivered. The package has been delivered from Grove. Where is it? It's Grove, Oklahoma, the company called Society Awards. As we said, the people who make the Emmy Awards. I don't think I got an Emmy. It's too thin for that. And you want to know about unboxing and stuff. And we're not going to do it, certainly we're not going to do it here today, I'm sorry. What we're going to do, and you mentioning Suga-san is what, reason I ask you about it, is the plan I had for sitting here and opening it and taking, the Twitch fans and thank you very much and blah, blah, blah. That leaves out all the other people who are responsible for this button. Suga-san, Cameron, Aoyama-san. So we are planning a video opening which will involve the other people whose effort and work went into that play button. Instead of all about Dave here, wow, look at my button, we're going to put Suga-san on the chair and Aoyama-san on the chair, and we have to make sure those people are part of this. So we are planning a video. It can't happen this week because everybody's too busy. One day next week we will do the video with the other people who are part of it. And then after I finish that, I told you we'll get some green tape, put it back up, and we will open it here as an echo opening on Twitch. But I have to include Suga-san. It's not fair for me to just do this by myself. Wow, look at the special thing I did. Of course I'm special, but you get my point. You get my point. So have patience, please. It's a marshmallow. Treat it like a marshmallow. You know the game. Defer the pleasure and more will come to you. Instead of grabbing what you can get right now, it's a marshmallow. I spent all my life waiting for the second marshmallow. Sometimes it comes. I haven't peeked. No, it's unopened. Bang, period. I haven't peeked. I know what's inside. We know what it physically looks like. And it's heavy. Hontoni, it's heavy. It's heavy. Those guys, I think, have done a really good job on this. This is not some plastic piece of crap coming from China. This is really, really a nicely made object. You know what they look like. You can Google out there and see. There's even people who have cut them open to see what's inside and stuff like that. There you are. Somebody says, I see marshmallow, I eat marshmallow. Dave is incapable of that. Either it's my mother's training or something, or my DNA or whatever. I don't know. So, I don't know. I really, really, really don't know. Doesn't matter. We are what we are, and it can't be helped. And by the time you get to be my age, the idea about trying to change things or change yourself, absolutely meaningless. So. Okay, let's get something. What are we on a good? I need someplace to put the Baron. The Baron is going to go there. The paper, the wet pad is here. Just a minute. The prints are going to go here and here, away from the Baron. The first one's not going to get done. Is that a good view? Okay. First one, away we go. Okay. I am not checking these prints at the moment here. This is just simply passing them through, putting the embossing on. Later this afternoon now, after lunch, I'll be checking a bunch of them. I don't have time to do all of them today. I'll be checking a bunch and sending them through to Cameron, to Ome for shipping. Cameron hasn't sent the information to 60 people. He's just sent the information to the first dozen or so people. He knows better than that, so. Then, an update on the Great Wave. This was printed for us by Yamamoto-san. And this is the last group he is going to print for us for a while. We are passing over the blocks. Next week, we're passing the blocks to Chiharu-san. Kawai Chiharu, another one of our printers. And she is going to do a few batches. She wants to get in on the money here. Picture Katsuka Hokusai, Hori Buru David, Suri Yamamoto Shun. And we have already prepared the next embossing block for her. So the blocks should be arriving here later today or perhaps tomorrow. And somehow I have to make a video about the Great Wave now, another video. Because we have approached now 2,000 copies of this, and lots of people are worried about this. After 2,000 copies, is this block set no longer usable? And I understand the concern. It's an absolute real concern. We've all been told and trained that blocks only last for 200 copies or so, etc., etc., etc. Well, here you are. You can have a look right now. I don't know exactly what number this is, but we are now around 1,900 copies have been sent out. We've had at least another 400 or 500 copies that we printed and tested and didn't send for whatever reason. So this is close, this is well over the 2,000th copy that has been pulled from this block set. And you tell me, how worn out is it? How bad is this? How do we dare send such a thing out to our customers? Basically, if you saw this, and if you were going to guess, if I was going to see this in just random and said, what copy number is this, Dave? I wouldn't have said number 1 or something, because there are hints here and there that it has been used. But would I say number 2,000? No. No, no, no. So we have no hesitation whatsoever about sending these out. And people who are ordering it now thinking I'm going to get a print from a worn out block. No way, Jose. Sharp, everything. Although awa still sharp and clear, the matting sharp and clear, the face is okay, because we really take care of this block. It does have a key block, and in fact it's a difficult key block. We don't print in sumi, we print in blue, Prussian blue, which is much more abrasive. It's really a problem for us. With our normal prints, we don't use a thick, rich black pigment for the key block. We use a dilute sumi. For this print, we can't do that. We need to use a thick, rich Prussian blue. And it's one of the most abrasive products in the whole ukiyo-e repertoire. There's a bit more update. I chatted with you earlier about the fact that the lady from the British Museum, the one who's doing research on their copies, they've got 4 or 5 copies of the Wave, and she has been really digging in, comparing them back and forth. And she and I have had some emails back and forth. She's got some presentations being made. And I sort of gave it to you before as a sort of a black and white thing. That lady thinks that they are all from the same blocks. David thinks they're not from the same blocks, back and forth, blah, 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 blah. I've had recent communication again with her over the past few days, and I've got to emphasize again, and some people before sort of misunderstood this a bit. And when I read through that chat that day, there's people thinking there's this bad person out there who is hostile to Dave's point of view, blah, blah, blah. This is not at all true. She is a very interesting lady with a very interesting viewpoint, doing interesting research, and completely non-hostile and non-threatening. So if any of you have any contact or thoughts about this, please don't do that. Please don't jump in to defend Dave here against somebody on the internet who thinks he's wrong. It's totally and cleanly, happily and friendly and open and discussing. And her email came the other day, and she wants to take us even further. They're doing an exhibition this fall over there about the new Hokusai sketchbook that the British Museum got a hold of last year. And as a part of the exhibition, she's apparently doing a panel that's going to take 2 of their prints and compare them to see. They look very different, but were they printed from the same block? Stuff like this. And I'm not at liberty to show you her preparation because it's still work in progress, but it is moving forward. She and I are going to be discussing more about this, and perhaps some of my input might be now part of the materials they are preparing and publishing. It's not sure, it's not decided. So I'm very happy to report that. They are not closing the walls and saying, we are right, everybody outside is wrong. They are openly talking and discussing about these, as academics and researchers should do. So this is going to turn out to be a lot of fun. And what it does mean is I have to really do my homework properly and try and find really good examples to back up the point of view that I presented in those videos. And if I can't do that, I'm going to get chewed up and spit out. Because, you've got to do your homework. You've got to do the research. So we'll see where it goes. But so far, right now, it is looking like good fun. Good, healthy discussion, open to each other's viewpoints. I don't even want to. I should turn that thing off, Somebody asked me yesterday how many people are in there. And I went and looked in the database. I don't want to talk to you about it, but today's the 22nd. On the 21st, there was 8 or 9 people. On the 20th, 14 people put their name on the list. On the 19th, 9 people put their name on the list. We're running like an average of 10 people a day putting their name on this list, which is now, we need to have a new mathematical theorem about this because it is growing exponentially, infinitely or something or whatever, I don't know. I don't even know what to do about this anymore. John's saying they should fly me over there, well, it's not possible these days. It would be really, really fun. When I lived in London, the year after I dropped out of university, I went to live in London. And the year I lived there, the V&A and the BM, I lived in those 2 buildings. I lived there. I was sort of not homeless, street homeless, but I was at liberty. And I walked around town seeing everything. And on rainy days, I'd head for one of those 2, the V&A or the BM. I had no interest in the Japanese stuff they had, but I lived in that building. I'd love to go back there. Sadako and I did visit there. When I was building my Surimono albums, I went to both of those institutions to do a bit of quote-unquote research and borrow and steal some designs. And the British Museum was really friendly. They were really, really helpful to me. I was a nobody. This was 1999 or the year 2000 or something. I was known in Japan, but not known out there in the world at all. And they invited me into the back room, and we saw the collection. They showed me some of the books from the Hillier collection. That was just mind-blowing. They were really, 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 really friendly. Ruby's here. Okay, let me show it again. Hang on a sec. We have a plastic plate here on the block. Don't get upset about the fact that it's plastic. We have a name block here. We are embossing. This is the last step before the name goes on, the quality goes in. What's the phrase? I forget. What did he say? We are embossing here the names of the designer, the carver, and the printer of this print. And to do so, we are using, oh, it's stuck down on the table, I can't do that. We're using a polymer plate, a plastic plate in reverse with the names on it. So give me a few minutes. This is going to take about a half an hour altogether. I'm about a third of the way through, so hang on here. Once this is over, we'll get back to the real job, the real carving. I'm not faking that, that's just the emails. That's the way it is. Okay, there are a few more things to mention while I'm doing this. I have a bunch of news. A bunch of news. I received about 2 seconds, well, a few minutes before the stream started this morning, I received an email from Karen-san, who is here this morning, and she is an extremely polite lady. She will never bring this up herself. She has a new print finished and a new print well underway. Have a look at the link there. This is open to show. This is Vivid KP on the list here. She's one of the names with a sword. I think it's okay to open this. And the print there is very nice, and I'm really interested in, I didn't even know about anything about this, the next print that is coming, the Dappled Forest, because I tried that and failed myself. I tried a moonlight dappling and totally fell on my face. And Karen-san, you don't need my permission to put links up. If you've got progress pictures or if something's going on, let us know about it. Don't wait for me to mention it because I'm not going to remember. So please, any stream, anytime. Hey gang, here's the latest step I've got to. What do you think? It's okay. It's really, really nice work. It's just right up my alley. And we've said this before, there's sort of work that I won't click and show and stuff like that. But Karen's stuff is just so straight up Dave's alley. For her, it's about the paper and the pigments, the beauty of the paper and the pigments, and her job is to find and create an interesting design to bring those things together into real life, A lot of modern printmakers, they're just thinking it's about my picture, it's about me, there's my design and whatever. Karen, I think, has got just exactly the right blend of these things. It's no insult to her to say when I look at that close-up of her picture, wow, it's so beautiful, look at the paper, it's not insulting to her. Her job is the conductor to bring those things out. Whatever, we know what Dave thinks about this stuff, it's okay. So this kind of work just pushes all my buttons exactly right. Karen, one thing I didn't understand was, is this, you mentioned in the poster, you mentioned awagami. So can you fill us in on what that, or maybe you have and I didn't notice it, can you fill us in on what that was about? What's the connection with awagami for that print? And is it going to be available? Submitted to the Awagami mini print show. Okay. Available for purchase. Link, please, or is it that same? Is it on your blog? Link. halfway. There's 60 sheets here. I should have mentioned, so people could count here. There are 60 waves in this batch. And maybe we'll have 55 or 6 or 7 of them that are okay from Yamamoto-san. And then there's going to be a few that have too much bark. And we've talked about this before. What we do is, after I finish putting the name on here this afternoon, I will go through, and if there are small, you can see stuff like this. There are going to be any number of places where there is a small amount of bark or dirt. I don't know if you can see it here. There, see the black dot there in front of my finger? So I will get under the scope and pull that black dot. But sometimes there's a place where there's some bark in there, and there's just too much in there for me to do a surgery without causing more damage than I do. So we split these into 3 groups, 4 groups, whatever. First group is the group that is totally okay, tiny dots, whatever. I've done what I can do, out they go, nobody will be unhappy about them. At the opposite end of the scale, the first one you saw. There's a pigment streak, it's clearly a test print, we can't sell that bank. That goes into the no good pile. There is another group in the middle where I did some surgery but it left a visible mark, or the piece of bark, there's 1 or 2 or 3 of them. There's just too many for me to do surgery to get them all out. The print looks okay, but there are just tiny defects. And those prints we never send out to people, because after years of waiting, we don't want them to open the package and think, oh no, what have they done? So we've got that middle group of prints that are acceptable to me to go out. The printing is done beautifully, but there's just a bit too much bark in there for me to want to have somebody to open that up. And that group, we keep them here in the store. And the store now has been closed for a year, but we keep them in the store. The idea being that when somebody comes into the store, they look for the Great Wave, they can see the thing. So they pick it up and look at it, and they can see right there. There's 1, 2, 3, or whatever it is, bits of bark, and it's their choice. They can leave it or take it. So we have a bunch now of that middle group. And actually, because the shop's been closed for a year, we have a whole bunch of them now. And I'm talking like we have 50, 60, 70, or 80 copies of the Wave that are printed nicely, pass our printing, but have a little bit too much bark for me to want to send it to somebody who's been waiting for 2 or 3 years. Now, we don't sell seconds here. We've always talked about that. If the misregistration, if the registration's off, if there's something wrong with it, bang, it goes in the garbage. We don't sell seconds. But prints where there's just a bit too much paper, gee, like it's not my fault. Don't blame us, it's okay, right? And I'm not sure what to do with those. We're not worried about it because they can sit here, and on the day when the shop opens, years from now, they will be there and people can see them. Open for the Olympics, yeah, right, Olympics. John's mentioning here, he says double the price, easy money. I got another email the other day. We've had this story before, right? There are some people out there who are sort of following our prints as they appear out and around the world. And we've talked about this before. There are customers of ours who buy prints from our website at the normal price, and then they go and sell them somewhere else on auction sites and stuff like that. And this happened again. Another batch came up last week. Another batch came up. Somebody had purchased, somebody we know, whatever, it's a dealer, an American dealer. Somebody picked up a bunch of our octopus prints and put them on an auction site. I think it's here. Okay, this link, be careful. This link goes to a print that is considered erotic. So if you're worried about shunga or erotic prints, don't follow this link. It's a public internet link, but if you don't like erotic work, please don't follow that. Anyway, it's one of our prints that was put on an auction website. The gentleman in question bought a few of them, at our normal price and put them up on a website. And John there was talking about, John said double the price. Dave casually violating TOS. I don't understand. What did I do wrong? Ah, you mean posting porn? Well, I'm not sure. I mean, this is art, isn't it? I don't know. I don't know. I know the gentleman in question, I know he's actually a normal, nice guy. I'm not, I was a little bit upset at him a month or so back because through an error, I guess it was an error on his part, he had misrepresented some of our prints. He had bought some of our prints and put them up and said that they were from the Muller collection, which was going to add a huge amount of value. And when I was really, really upset about that, but he says it was a mistake and whatever, take that at face value. So I'm not upset about the man who's doing this. He's doing what's called arbitrage. He's got some knowledge about these prints. Here we go. There's a big, big, big piece of chitty here. This is just under the surface of the paper. I'm not going to sit here with my scope and try and get it out right now. But this one may actually come out. It looks terrible right here. But this is a physical piece of bark. And it's caught between two layers. So I open the top layer, flip it up, take the bark out, and close it back down. So this one, although it looks terrible, is probably going to come out cleanly. Let me look around later. Let me find an example of one of the type that I can't erase cleanly. Anyway, the point I was trying to get at is that print sold for $1,400, that auction price, the one you just see there. Our price is $135 is our price for that print. And the auction went to $1,400. And there were other examples. He didn't buy just one copy, he bought a few copies. So John, when you said to double the price, I don't know. We've had the conversation before. I don't know. Do I think the print is worth that much? Am I going to change my price and make it $1,400? No. But you could think of the math, né? If we do our printing work printing hard for 10 copies and sell them at that price, if we put the price to $1,400 or X, something way up there, we would sell fewer copies. We wouldn't have to work as hard. We would get the same revenue. Suppose the price went up 6 times. So I would only have to make 1/6 the number of prints. Maybe the market actually would balance. There would be a point there where the two markets would balance. We would get the same revenue from making fewer prints. So why don't we do that? It would be easy for us. The reason I don't do that is because the printers are then out of work. And of course, we've got other jobs for them to do. But if that was the concept, we're putting printers out of work. Okay, here's another kind of bark. I don't know if we can get close enough to see it. This is the kind that is much, much more difficult to take out. How close can I get here? Let's try and get close. Okay, this is a piece of mulberry bark. And this one I am not going to be able to remove. Instead of being a single black clump of stuff, which is a solid clump, open it, move the clump, remove it. This is a piece of bark which has fibers. It's a fibrous piece of bark. We can see part of it in the middle. It's sort of a brown color, but it actually extends out each side because it's got fibers with it. So there's no single place where I can open up and remove a lump. To get this out means tearing the paper here, and leaving a fuzzy place here. Now it could be done. Get the scope, do the surgery, pull it out, and then get some similar paper, or you work from a piece of, get an offcut from the edge of this same sheet of paper, cut a piece of washi that looked similar, come back here, wherever I am here, come back here, and inlay it. It could be done, but it would be an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours of work by me. And we simply cannot invest that amount of time in this. So this is an example of the middle kind of print that I was talking to you a few minutes ago. I'm not going to throw this away. This is not going to be rejected. I mean, I haven't checked it yet, but assuming all the printing is done properly, this is not going to be rejected. But I can't send it to somebody in the mail. They're going to open it, and their eyes are going to go to this, and we get the emails. Once I've seen this, I can't unsee it. It spoiled the whole print from me. I got an email like that last week. So we've learned. There's that middle zone that I can't fix. They go here, they're writing, I can see a stack of them across there. They're waiting for the time the shop opens. I am not working enough. I'm talking too much. I'm not working enough. Excuse me. Sorry. If Andy's here, there's something I meant to ask you, Andy San. We had an experience last week. We chatted about it on the chat here. 6 young men came by the other day. I was sitting here carving. The shop was closed. The shop was all dark, of course. But 6 young men, American voices, came by the other day. And they were chatting outside, looking at the posters, the Fox Moon poster and the Mario poster. I went out to chat with them, and a few of them ran away right away, but a couple of them stayed to talk just for a minute. And it turned out, I was asking, are you here for the Olympics? And they said, no, we're U.S. military. We just got in the other day. And they were out for a day walking around Tokyo, stuff like that. And I didn't follow up, questioning them, but they said, we're from the U.S. military, and we just came in the other day. And I'm like, is that how it works? I didn't say anything. They had masks in their pockets. They weren't masked up, but as soon as I went outside and talked to them, the guy pulled his mask out, and, I had mine on, and he put his mask on, and we chatted for a minute. So I was kind of curious, 6 American young men just arrived, according to their explanation. After hearing your story, Andy, about being in quarantine for whatever it was, a couple of weeks or a few weeks, I was curious, There's too many conversations going on here. I can't see. So good. If you're vaccinated, your quarantine time is less. Gotcha. Okay. They were nice guys. 18, 20. Looks like sort of kind of high school, not high school, but like just out of high school, kind of college age young boys. Super, like just bulked up. Like guys like that could break me in half, whatever. So. Are we going to do some surgery? No, I'm going to get back to the work on the carving today I'm not going to do any surgery. I said Ome is waiting for these, absolutely. I'm going to, after lunch, I'm going to go through this pile and pick out the first 10 or 12 or 20 copies that don't need anything. I'm going to wrap those up, package them up, and send them off to Ome so that they can get busy shipping those people who have been waiting. Anything that needs surgery, it's got to be later. I do not have time right now for that. So no surgery, I'm sorry. But I guess people do want to see surgery now. So what I should maybe do is then, when I'm doing the first triage this afternoon, then, as I said, some that don't need anything, some that need surgery, some that are rejects. So should I save some surgery for the next stream then? Is that the best way to do this? I don't know. Here's another one. Classic example of what I cannot easily pull out. This is on the back side. Let's look at it from the back side. Where am I here? It's here. This is on the back, so actually we could get away with this one, but you can see what I was talking about. It's a long, thin clump, and you can see yourself now. You can see the fibers. They go down through the washi off to each side. So one way to try and do this is to lightly cut here. Cut, open, and pull out just the middle lump without disturbing the head and tail fibers. And that's one way sometimes to be able to do these. This is on the back. If we look at the front, yeah, it's there. It's there as a ghost. And that's another problem with this, this bark stuff. When you look at the print under different light, sometimes the bark is more or less visible. For example, if I just hold the print like this, maybe I can or can't see something. If I hold it up to the light, ooh, I can see lots more. But that's not the way most people view their prints. But when you're matting and framing it, people put it down onto a mat, which is light colored almost always. And then you can see the dots and stuff show up because the paper is so thin, the dots show up against the background. And what we could do is ask people, hey, when you're matting it, mat it against a gray background. But you can't tell people to do that. See this one here? See the dot? I can get that one out because that's a single lump of something in there. And I have to decide, do I go in from the front side or do I go in from the back side? Where is it? It's here. See it? This one I would go in from the back side. Should we try and take it out? Should we try it? Should we interrupt this program? Should we try it just for fun? I should not do this. I've lost it. Where is it? Hang on a sec. Let me get the scope lined up here. There it is. Can you see it or not? I don't know if you can even see it. So it's barely visible here because we're on the back side. If possible, I don't want to cut from the front. I'd rather cut from the back. Cutting into the paper, but not through the paper. We're going to cut a little flap. Okay, we've opened up a flap. There she is. Can you see her? I don't know. It's all too small for you, maybe. There she is. There's the chitty. One more thing I got to do. I got to hold up the light. Oh, there's another piece there. The paste is the same paste we use when we are printing. Exactly the same starch paste that we use when we do printing. So the paste is already actually in here. We're not adding anything. Let's take that out of there. Now when we look at it from the front right now, you're probably going to see it because it's wet. Let's have a look. You can see a little wet spot. It's like the sheets. There's a little wet spot on the sheets. That's going to dry out as the paste dries, and that is going to become completely and totally invisible. Actually, there's more. They're all over this one. 1, 2, 3. They're all over the place on this one. Can you see them? Look at this one. Right there. There they are. Look at this. 1, 2. This is the problem. Time. Time. In the old days, we're talking going back, whatever, X decades. In the old days, the paper was much cleaner. And when we look at old Meiji prints, we see two things. We see gorgeous white paper for more expensive prints, but we see also a ton of Meiji and Edo-era prints with so much bark in the paper, you just can't believe it. So it's not just as simple as saying, in the old days it was good, nowadays it's bad. In the old days there was there was a range. You could buy wonderful paper, you could buy junk paper. And depending on what they were publishing, they paid more or paid less for a level of quality in the paper. So both things are true. In the old days, there were terrible amounts of bark in the paper. There were also papers that were gorgeous, drop-dead, pure as snow. What we want these days is the purest snow paper, but unfortunately, it's just not humanly possible. The paper-making groups up in Fukui Prefecture tried some years ago with government sponsorship. They tried to develop mechanical forms of pulling out the bark, and they didn't succeed. They took a ton of money, ton of research, ton of attempts, and didn't succeed. Okay, this one you can see Yamamoto-san cut the corner, and we can see why. This is a printer's error, and this is defective. There's no way I can fix this. Well, actually, it would be fixable. He's got a bit of blue here, but for me to fix this means excavating a large hole and very carefully dressing a piece of washi that's going to fit inside. And we're talking 2-3 hours work, and that's just simply not possible. So this is going to go in the out stack, not to customers, not in the shop. This is defective and just goes into the cupboard where we have all our other defective ones. Okay, maybe the next few are going to be the same as this. Look at this, look at this. Yamamoto-san has cut the corners on this next few. It'll be the same story. He was a bit careless. I think he's getting rushed, and he's been a bit careless. And they were blue. This is blue pigment. This is not chitty. This is blue pigment It's Yamamoto-san's slight carelessness. Oh, this is bark. Look at this. Look at the massive chunk of bark in this one. Look at that. No way. I can't get it out. I don't think I can get it out. Oh, I see what he's done too. Because he knew there was a big chunk of bark, he put this up to the front of his stack. This is in his test group. The color is not so rich and deep. So he uses the first few sheets in each group as a sort of a test group. Get the color warmed up, make sure the registration's okay. And he's smart enough for that. He picks ones that are going to have a bad lot of bark. This is printers. I'm not making fun of Yamamoto-san here. He's doing really a good job. But every now and then you move your brush along, you do a gradation, and you didn't notice it, but in your brush there was a little blob of pigment. And we have UFO over Mount Fuji. And again, actually, I could do this. You could take out, it's like when they're making plywood. They take out slips of wood and put in new slips of wood. This is actually repairable. It's just not worth the time. Two more. He's done a tiny corner cut, so he's found something, tiny defect, which I don't see. So I'm going to put the embossing on these next two, and that's it. We'll call it a day. We'll move forward. On that one, my God, Iwano-san, what are you doing with yourself? Massive pieces of bark on this one, massive pieces. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Okay. Let's go. So there's an obvious question. Why don't we filter out at the time of sizing or before we start printing? The problem is a lot of these things are not visible at that point. When you hold up a sheet of paper, your eye goes to the sheet of paper. It's like what we talked about before, when you're vacuuming the living room after the Lego and stuff goes on top of it. When you look at the living room, it looks all dirty. You vacuum it, it looks okay, but actually there's a whole bunch of crap still left there. So looking at the sheet at the start, it really doesn't help you. If there's a really grotesque large one in there, yes, we pull that sheet aside, and Yamamoto-san would use that as his starting point. But they sort of all look okay. It's only when the print is done and the white space is there, then your eye jumps to this, I don't know. Of course we try and think about it before we start. Someone's asking, does awagami paper have this much chiri? There's no single thing to say. Iwano-san's paper is still the best paper available in this country, on this planet, for the kind of job we want to do. We have been testing awagami paper actually for the last little while. And some of it is very clean and very nice. None of the paper that we have been testing is suitable for our work. I know Karen there, I guess she's done something with awagami and she's using that paper. Lots of people find it useful. For the level of work we're doing, we have been unable to find any kind of awagami paper that is useful for us. I'm sorry, I know. I mean, that's why living national treasures are what they are. There is a big difference in the stuff that they make. And although there's a lot of bark in it, it's glorious, glorious paper. We've been testing the Kitaro stuff as well, and the ladies were really, really disappointed in it. It's the same materials, it's the same process, it's the same boiling, the same screens to lay it out. The building is 50 yards down the street. It's the same neighborhood, the same water, the same everything. And we've tested some of it. We've been testing some of it for the past couple of weeks. And nope. We are maybe going to be able to use some of it for testing our own prints, because the color is similar. So for us to do color testing, the Kitaro paper will be useful. But for selling prints, there's no way we can use that. Absolutely no way. And we're talking about the Kitaro Kizuki. We bought some of their Kizuki and their Hankusa, the one with half pulp. And the Hankusa, the girls just whatever. They put it in their bench, tried some, and just threw it, screwed it up in a ball and threw it away. Like, Dave, don't waste my time. It was that much unusable. The Kizuki, they went through to the end as doing their testing with their other prints. And they've asked me to get more of the Kizuki paper so that they can use it for color testing. Someone's saying about notice me. I don't know what it's talking about here, so whatever. Lots of conversations I'm missing, I'm sorry. What do we not like about Kitaro Kizuki? It's got no balls. In one rough sentence, it's got no balls. As I said, everything else about it is identical. Same materials, same this, same that, same this, same that. You can see the difference actually when you hold it up to the light transparently and look at an Iwano sheet and a Kitaro sheet. You can see right away. If I was in their workshop directing them to do what to do, there's stuff you can see and there's stuff you can't see. So step one, the stuff I can see. When you hold it up to the light, you can see right away that in the tub, before they start scooping, they haven't done this job properly. They haven't got the fibers properly spread out. And this is two things. This is mechanical action, and then it's the amount of tororoi, which it goes into suspension, the hibiscus root. It goes into suspension, and that's what keeps the fibers floating. And the Kitaro paper, it's clumps. It looks like one of those, we see a science photograph. It's the background radiation left from the beginning of the universe, and it's got this. It's not a flat thing. It's clump, 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 clump. And that's what you see in the Kitaro paper. The Iwano-san paper is not perfect. It's not a perfectly smooth mulberry mat. There are places where it bunches up, but it's night and day difference. And then the Kitaro paper, because of this, there's places where there's kozo clumped and no kozo, and the paper doesn't have the requisite strength. Then the part that I can't see is the hibiscus root, how much is in there, and that adds a huge amount of variation in the strength of the mat and the weakness of the mat. And I've never made paper. I can't tell you adding 65 more grams would have really helped. I can't say that. I don't know what it is. All I know is that you put the paper on the block, print, oh geez, if I'm not careful, I'm going to tear that sheet of paper. Iwano-san's paper, we put it down and you could brutalize it. And you cannot, assuming it's sized properly, you just cannot damage it. The Kitaro paper just doesn't have the balls. There's nothing else to say. And it's something to do with the physical action of dispersing the fibers, or it's the volume and balance and quality of the hibiscus root, or it's, for example, when they're doing niru. What's the word for niru? When you put the fibers in the alkali water and boil it, to separate the cellulose and blah, 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 blah. That's really sensitive. What temperature to go to, how much alkali, how quickly to raise the temperature, how slowly to reduce the temperature. And I'm not the guy to tell you, yes, if they had let it cool down just a little bit longer, it would have been cool. I don't know. It's something like this. This is what you get with living national treasure level of paper. It's just completely, it's the same materials, the same recipe, exactly the same recipe. Take 1 gram, 2 grams, blah, 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 do. But at the end of it, it's a totally different result. I'm not trying to diss the people. Whatever, I'm just giving a review of the product and all. We can't use it for our work. We will use it for testing, but we cannot use it for our work. I'm sorry. We were really hopeful. If it was great, we would say so and spread it around and buy some and sell it and whatever. But we can't use it. And this is terrible news for me, because what it means is I am now down to the last one workshop on the planet. And it's one young man, Iwano Jun. Iwano-san himself now doesn't work much making paper. He's 87 years old. 87, 88, 87. He's actually in the way. We know that. I saw that last time I was there. He's in the way. It's now all down to one man, Jun-san, Iwano-san's son. So my whole career, our whole career at Mokuhankan, the whole meaning of what we do, the 20 people who work here, is now there's a bottleneck there. Everything we do funnels through one young man doing his work out in Fukui Prefecture. So it's clear what I have to do. I have to try and widen that bottleneck. We gotta start making paper. I don't know. What is an issue? Yeah, just enough, please. Enough. The wood, the piece of wood I'm using right now, it would have been literally, this is not exaggerated in any way whatsoever, if this had come to the wood preparer guy, to the man who planes the blocks, if this piece of wood had come to his desk, he would have just thrown it straight in a pile for the pot-bellied stove. It wasn't a question of, he would say, what should I do? Is it okay? No. It would have come to his desk. He would have said, oh, what are they doing? And it would have gone to the stove. He wouldn't have had any question. In no way would he have ever considered putting this piece of wood into the market. Let's do some work. What time is it? 9 o'clock. Vivid KP is asking, we need a secret operative who could visit other paper makers. It's funny, Karen. I wanted to test this Kitaro paper. So first idea is, okay, get to the website, put an order in, they can send some paper over here. I could not do that. Of course I can buy from their website, but Kitaro, the workshop, I forget the guy's name. I don't know the name of the young man who's running the place. Kitaro is their house brand name. It's not Mr. Kitaro. I don't know. Anyway, so the point being, if I had ordered from him for testing, we could have done that, but then I could imagine next week over there. Remember, these men are neighbors. They are in the neighboring building. I could have imagined them chatting, Iwano-san and the young boy from the workshop. And I could see the young boy saying, hey, it's fun, we got an order the other day from that workshop in Tokyo, the one Mokuhankan, blah, 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 blah. And Iwano-san would say was, they've ordered some paper from you, and this would not be something that I would want Iwano-san to particularly know about. So I didn't order it directly myself. We went around and around and around and got it. So enough. I'm not sure if Iwano-san had heard that I was buying and said, Dave, if he phoned me up and I said, Dave, I heard you got some paper from Kitaro. You thinking about switching or whatever? And I said, I would just tell him the truth, actually. No, I need test paper because it's a super waste to use your paper for testing, which we're going to throw away. So I need some paper that looks like yours, feels like yours, behaves like yours, so that we can test. What's wrong with that? Don't get upset. Whatever. So, and I hope he would say, no, okay. Whatever. I just didn't want the hassle. So we ordered secretly. Secretly, and I tell my 600 internet friends about it here, whatever. It's not a problem. Am I on camera? Well, yeah, I got it, okay. What's gone wrong? It's been at least 5 minutes since we've heard a great wave sound. What's wrong with the world? The internet must be broken. Did I tell Kitaro about my opinion? No. As I said, for two reasons. One is we're still not finished. We're doing more testing. I'm going to play with sizing. I said the girls threw away the Hankusa paper. Literally threw it away. Because Kitaro's website says it's sized, but it wasn't actually sized. So I need to talk to them about that. The Kizuki paper we got from them was sized poorly. And the Hankusa said it was sized, but it wasn't. So we need to play with it a bit more. But the second problem is, as I said, we didn't order it straight from them. So it's not Dave here phoning up to talk to them. So I don't know how much feedback is going to be possible, nor do I know how much feedback is required. Because I should mention something else about the Kitaro paper. We bought it for testing. And the reason we bought it for testing is because it's a waste for us to use Iwano-san's paper. But the Kitaro price is stunningly low. Or Iwano-san's price is stunningly high. When you measure the paper per square centimeter, Kitaro's standard size actually is much larger than any of the sizes we buy from Iwano-san. But when you prorate the price at per square centimeter, the Kizuki paper from Kitaro is literally exactly 1/2 of the paper from Iwano-san. It's half the price. So we're not comparing apples and apples here. We're comparing something different in the market. Iwano-san is a living national treasure. We pay a premium for that. The paper is really fine paper, and we pay for it. Kitaro's price, the Kizuki paper, is 1/2. And then when you move to the next level, the Hankusa paper, the stuff that with pulp mixed in, Kitaro's price is 1/4 of Iwano-san. This is why we wanted to use this for testing, for our color preps and our testing and stuff like this. It's 1/4 the price. So I'm not dissing Kitaro here. Like I said, we're comparing apples and oranges. You can't compare the Mercedes to the Volkswagen, whatever, and say, hey, the Volkswagen just doesn't have the oomph in there, you know. So I should have mentioned that before. It's not fair to compare them exactly, hey, this doesn't quite measure up, because in the market, it's a different product. It's literally half the price. Can't catch it all. Can't catch it all. Dave complains when he gets orders, complains when he doesn't. I'm not complaining. You know, this is our life. So, am I complaining? I don't think so. I don't think so. There's various discussion here about technological fixes for some of this stuff. How much of the chiri, the bark, can be taken out technologically with lasers and stuff? How much could we scan the sheets beforehand? There are, I am sure, technological fixes for these. I mean, they can now put rockets up and land them and send them up 6 minutes later. There's technology. We can handle this with technology, I'm sure. The problem is to build the machine for removing the bark here, which I am sure would be possible. Aoyama-san and I we figured out how we can sort of do it. We were talking about it before. The tomatoes go along the assembly line, and the lasers and infrared light pick out the bad tomatoes. The machine rejects the bad tomatoes, stuff like this. I am sure we could build a machine like this for pulling bark out of the paper. It's a question of the amount of investment and time that would be necessary for a machine that's going to be used like by one little workshop here. So yes, it could be possible, and there's always people in these streams, and me too, thinking, hey, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this. I know we could do this, but the problem is it's just beyond reach for a workshop in our situation. I'd love to do that. Take half a year off, get over to Akihabara, get some sensors, get an old washing tub from the papermaking village, and build a machine that would identify these tiny scraps with lasers or UV light or something. And there would be little, either you could zap them with a laser, or you could pick it up manually, or you could shoot it with a compressed air, whatever. There's lots of ways to do this. It would be doable. I even chatted with Jun-san about this one time when I was out there. I said, look, should we set up a little research thing together? Our Patreon will supply the money. We'll get some kid from Akihabara who's good with software. We'll blah, 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 blah. And I outlined for him that idea, that we would put the washi slurry into this round tub where it goes round and round and round. And it would fall over a little waterfall. The lasers would look for the chitty. Jets of pressed air would puff it out. We could do this. And he said, Dave, you're forgetting something. We can't soak the paper for more than 15 or 20 minutes. If we do that, the fiber gets too soft, and especially in summer. And I'm like, well, we could use fast lasers or something like this, whatever. It's not such an easy brain dead. I could do that. Let me build that this weekend with a test bed and stuff like that. There are lots of other factors, Jun-san is not a stupid guy. He's doing what he can do to try and make it all happen. But he's in the same situation as me, just firefighting all day long. No chance to research a new way of doing it. So yeah, there could be a technological fix for this, and I haven't given up. But. How's our time? Are we okay? 13, okay, a couple more minutes. Show and tell today is going to be two things. It's going to be one, a pickup from what we started the other day. We've got that black folder here with prints inside. I don't even remember what's in there. We're just going to turn page by page and see what treasures we find. But before I do that, today's show and tell, there's something else. A package arrived in the post yesterday from Britain. And I'm actually not sure. I get packages, and I'm not sure. Are they things that are just something that shouldn't be public? Or are they things that I can open and do unboxing on the stream? And I don't know. I got a package from England, and I'm going to open it here, but it's possible that it's not meant to be for public inspection. I don't know. I'm gonna try it. Take my life in my hands and try it. And if I'm guessing wrong, we may just simply close it up and say, okay, guys, sorry about that. We'll talk about this later, and we'll move on to show and tell. So I don't know. So just let's have a look. If the person in question is here from England, anybody from England here? William-san, are you here? No, I meant is the person from, it's from William. It's a package from England, and it was addressed to the country called Fragile. It's still got here. I didn't know Fragile was a country name, but whatever, it's okay. It's from William Francis. it's from William Francis in England. So it's got to be prints. William is doing all kinds of stuff for Jed these days. William has become Jed's sort of main print, main carver printer these days. All kinds of work that we can't do for Jed. So no Francis Hunger here. Well, anyway, it's from William. Dave with the dad jokes. What did I say? I don't know. What did I say? I wasn't even trying to be funny here. Okay, let's have an open. And I'm assuming that this is okay for public opening, or I would have been warned about that, I think. Let's have a look. No green tape. For those of you who don't know, William Francis is a young man in Britain who is doing carving and printing, sort of the same thing that I did all those years ago. He's not an artist-type designer person. He's someone who is really interested in the craft and technology of all this stuff. And just like I did many years ago, he himself is doing carving and printing with other people's designs. These days, he's, I can't say working for Jed, I don't know the relationship, but he is making woodblock prints of designs created by Jed Henry. For those who don't know, and I don't think he's got a website. I have no idea. On Jed's website, ukiyo-heroes.com, are lots of prints that are made by William. It's a book. It's a book. It's not prints. It's a book. Or maybe it's both. This looks interesting. Oops. Okay, I guess it's okay for public. It's a letter from William. Thank you for the support at Mokuhankan, the guidance. Thank you for the support. Oh, it's a Patreon series. This is the first complete Patreon series I've produced. I would like you to have this first copy. And there's he's being very polite. William is very polite here and appreciative. And it looks like we've got some woodblock prints. Has somebody got a link here? Because I don't know anything about this. I'm hearing this now for the first time. I'm sorry. I know William. I don't know anything about a Patreon. If there's a link, please. Lots of people. William's brother made the book for the prints. Okay, I am seeing this for the first time. I'm sorry. There's a card thing inside. William Francis Fine Woodblock Prints. Well, New Year's card to show 2021. Maybe it's next year's New Year's card. Black and white print. This is the thing. All of us have the same problem with New Year's cards because we have to make so many copies of them. We don't want to make 99 colors. So William has made a black and white one here. And I've got no idea. I don't recognize the design. Cranes. We see cranes all the time. He's picked it up somewhere or he's put it together by himself. I don't know. What's the paper? It's Iwano-san paper. I think it's Iwano paper. It looks pretty good. William-san, thank you. I guess he's not here to say this. I'll write him a letter after the stream's over. Let's have a look. I have a nicely produced handmade book. Look at this. I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to crack it open. Looks like there's a fold line prepared here. Oh, I see. It's page by page by page. I see. So the prints aren't bound. So that's supposed to stay in there. I see. So it's page by page. I misunderstood. I thought the prints were the pages. They're not. It's a series then. Okay, 2021. Oh. I misunderstood. I thought it was a New Year card, the fact that it said 2021. Maybe if I read the instructions, I'd learn more. William-san, are you copying our theme this year? What's going on? Nicely made. Nicely done, nicely carved, nicely printed, nicely presented. Soka. Yeah, why not bind the prints into the book? Why? Okay, whatever. It's his approach. There's how many of them are there here? 4 of them. Let's look. Oh, look at this. Hokusai, hokusai. This is a simplification of a famous hokusai bird design. That's bird with magnolia. When we get the original, I mean, they're, reproductions of this print in the flea market, they fly away straight away. It's a very, very popular design. Look at this, registration. Interesting, eh? What do you think about what we should do? Maybe I'm overthinking all this. This is the same paper that we're using. This is Iwano-san's Kizuki Hosho. And William has made his decision to say this is what it is. William is not fooling around here. David is perhaps overthinking. Dave is trying to say, my prints are wonderful, better than everything else, blah, 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 blah. So we have to take out this bark. William is not, I guess, not talking about this. He's focusing on the carving and the printing. And William has decided to let this go. So, interesting. Maybe I'm the guy who is, thinking too much about this. Maybe if we sent our prints out with paper like this, people would simply accept this. This is what it is. Interesting. Maybe this is what I should be thinking, There's stuff I can control, and there's stuff I can't control, and the bark in the paper is something that is outside of my control. So maybe, I know myself too, when I was making prints by myself using Iwano-san's paper, I didn't pull bark out. What's the original here? I don't recognize, is it maybe from the Hokusai manga? I don't know. I don't recognize the original. William-san, I think I would have put a background in, An owl is interesting, the branch is interesting. For me, it's a bit too sparse. As a printmaker, I like looking at the carving and all the parts of it, but for the art value, I think background would have really added something to this. I don't recognize the original. Does somebody know who this is? I don't know. I said Hokusai manga, but actually it doesn't look like a Hokusai owl, so I don't know where the original is from. Or maybe it's William's own design. I'm sorry, I don't know. Is there any information in here? There's no other information, eh? Okay, William-san, thank you very much. I'll write to you, of course, as soon as the stream is over here. I will write directly to you. Very nice production, very nice presentation. Thank you very much. For my own taste, I would have mounted the prints directly in the book instead of on cardboard. I would have mounted the prints in there. I can guess I know why you didn't do it, because when I did my Surimono albums, I had the same problem. I tried to do it this way. They weren't a book. They were punched and went into a cover. And I found that when I mounted the prints in their corners, not on a card. I mounted the prints in corners on the pages of the book, thinking it was a great idea. And when people turned the pages, it was okay. But when they turned the pages backwards, the prints always popped out of the corners. So I solved it by making the thing much larger and putting the prints in the middle of the paper, so there was less flex on it. And my guess is that's perhaps why William he maybe tested it that way, and the prints were always coming out of the corners. And we don't want to glue them in. So he's gone to this solution by keeping the prints on separate cards. Okay, William-san, thank you very much. Thank you very much for thinking of me and for saying thank you. And William's email to me is very polite and acknowledges that he's learned a bunch of stuff from us, but in response, I got to say, this is a two-way street. And for us, we're very easygoing by putting lots of information out there. But in real life, very, very, very few people are actually making really deep use of it. There's lots of people who talk about making prints, lots of people who think about doing stuff. But out of all the tens of thousands of people who say, wow, that's cool, there are only a very small handful who actually jump in there and dig in and do it. And William is really high among that list of people who's doing this. He hasn't been just talking about this, he's actually doing this. And he's obviously crazy in the sense that we're crazy. He has glommed onto this, and he is determined to see how far he can go with this. And the fact that a little bit of the information we've put out there is turning out to be useful to him and helpful to him is heartwarming for us. I'm not his guru. I didn't teach him anything. I didn't show him what to do. Doesn't have to be beholden to me for anything. He has taken this information on his own, his own drive, has taken this thing and dug in and dug in and dug in and dug in. I have no idea where there's other ones too. There's William, there's a few other people, Taran here in Japan, of course, for example. There's a few other people who are doing this, and I have no idea how far these young boys are going to take this, how far they're going to go. I will be out of the way, I think, before they get to their full level of competence. Someone like William, I'll be gone before he, reaches his top level. So I will never see it, but I'm just very happy that there are people like this who are doing this stuff, and they're digging in so far. And he's polite, saying thank you to me, but he doesn't need to say thank you to me at all. He's doing this on his own and with his own drive. And it's for me to say thank you to him for digging in like this. Because if nobody did that, if we threw all these seeds out there and nobody picked them up, then that would be kind of discouraging for us. And the fact that there are so many, not so many, but there are a bunch of people out there now who are picking this up and carrying with it, that's all the thanks I need. You don't need to thank me. All you need to do is make more prints. So William-san, thank you very much. Beautiful work. Thank you for thinking of me. Thanks for sending it over. This is going to go into the Mokuhankan collection. Thank you very much for doing this. Okay, enough. Moving on to the next. How's our time? It's 9:30. It's 9:30. It's 9:30. We are kind of like out of time. So I think what we'll do is we will leave it there. I hadn't planned that, but that was today's show and tell. Beautiful, beautiful work anyway, so it's okay. That was today's show and tell. So let's do this. Let's sign off. It's Thursday morning now for me. I will be back here Saturday morning, and as you can see now, I am now down to the last couple of hours work on this block. So for me today, I've got to do sizing this afternoon. So I can't finish this today. I'm doing sizing and great wave work this afternoon. Tomorrow's Friday. I'll be doing a full day of work, so this block will be finished Friday. So I think what we're going to see Saturday morning, and maybe we can try and time this. What we're going to see Saturday morning maybe is proofing this and or doing a couple of color separations and pasting down for the color blocks. I don't know. It depends how much work I get done Friday. We will see something in that end. I will be proofing it, or I'll be sketching for the color blocks, or I will save one of the color blocks to be pasted down so you can see a paste and a peel on Saturday. We will do something like that 2 days from now on Saturday morning. So stand by for some more tiger action. There was 6 things I was supposed to talk to you about today, and I looked at 2 of them. 4 more left. It's okay. All right, we're out of here. Thank you very much. It hasn't been all that interesting today, and I have probably talked more than I have actually worked, but things are what they are. The last few streams, as I put up the outside, it's been an interesting coincidence. I've heard some footsteps coming from behind, and I wait for the footsteps. And every day we are getting lucky. See you in a couple more days. Thanks. Bye for now.